what I'm going to do is just to take you through a couple of the highlights of what's been happening. Here we are about 8 months after we listed, and we have really good traction across all of our activities. So I will start out just telling you I'm going to cover, first of all, just a description of the environmental impact study that we launched a couple of months ago. The report is now finished. To tell you what that means, I'm going to talk a little bit about the implementation with the new factory and the capacity. I'll tell you about how it's going with our sales and the build-up of the sales team and the traction that we are starting to have, especially out of China. The new products, so we are launching here this month's new products, and then just finish off on talking about raw material. So if I go to environment, so just a brief little note on this. Why is this important? So we are a manufacturing company that has found the way to use a very cheap raw material that's abundantly available around the world, which is wrapped in this wonderful environmental blanket. And so we commissioned with a Sydney-based environmental consulting company, and they have now spent the last several months to go through everything that we do to full ISO standards, and so the report is done. And what is it that they look at? They look at things like carbon footprint. Carbon footprint is one of the most important measures of environmental performance, all tied back to the Paris Accord and global warming. So that's going to come out in the report. They look at things like the damage from deforestation that is caused by that, waste to landfill, water eutrophication, etc. Exactly the points when you go in and you look at most of the large companies that have varying degrees of environmental ambitions, and you look at their websites, and you will see they all have the same 6, 7, 8 ambitions in terms of what they want to achieve in the environment, and we tick the box on pretty much all of them. And what's going to happen with the report now that it's finished, it's now going out for peer review. This is a standard process with environmental impact studies, so it goes out to academia and so on, that testing the findings behind everything. So it's going to take a few more months, but we are quite confident that during the second quarter, Q2 of this year, we will be releasing the report. And what we can see already is that when you compare our product against a competing product, for example, a mixed tropical hardwood timber pallet, we come out on top. So there's some really, really interesting findings that come from that, which is absolutely and exactly supporting what we've always been saying, this thing that makes logical sense: salvaging waste plastic from going to landfill, saving trees from being cut down. Yes, this is exactly what's coming out in the report. So we are very encouraged by that, and we really believe that our customers are going to be encouraged by the fact that we can document in absolute terms, this is how much it really means to you in kilos and pounds and everything. Our new products. So as you will recall, when you look at the top right corner, this product that we have been producing significantly until now, as well as the lower left corner, we are launching now at the end of this month, end of April, at the Warehouse Exhibition Show in Bangkok, the 2 new models. This is one of the things that going public has enabled us to do. So the funds that we've been provided with has enabled us to put research into this. This is very much based on customer feedback. The primary differentiator between what we've been producing and selling until now to the new products is that these pallets are rackable. Rackability is an important part of modern supply chains, whether it's at the origin where the products are produced or whether it's at the destination overseas where the pallets are being sent to. So we are very, very excited about these products that are coming out. The fundamentals are exactly the same as what we've always been doing. You put the material into the presses, and we push out the products from that. The NSP pallet has slightly more plastic in it, but it's fundamentally the same weight ratio as what we see in the NP pallet. The rackable pallet is the full-on rackable pallet with a load rating of 1.2 tons. The other thing that we have been able to do now with the product is to go with full branding. So you will see that our branding is now incorporated in the pallets. We really believe that Repal is actually going to become a bit of a phenomenon in the business, being known as the pallet that has been made from 100% mixed waste plastic. So all of that going very well. Very, very happy with the speed with which we've been able to do this. And as it mentions here, we start production this month. Then all the pallets go for ISO certification, and in May we will have the ISO certification, which is just going to confirm the theoretical load ratings that we get through the design process. We have spent a lot of time building up our sales organization. So here you see a map of how we have now penetrated across all of Asia. And so we now have more than 20 direct salespeople on the ground across 8 countries. And this has all been coming together and been concluded here by the end of February. So a number of these countries have just been coming on stream here in the last, literally just the last 2 months. And I think it's maybe worthwhile for me just to pause on China. As you can see, we have 7 people in China. We decided right away to go into Beijing, Qingdao, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. As you know, I spent many years working in China, and China is a huge market, and it's important that you go in there in a significant way. And the good news, so this is starting to prove the traction that we have. We already got the first 2 full orders from China that have been shipped already here just 2 weeks ago. And we have more in the pipeline. Who are these Chinese customers that are ordering from us? These are the end users, manufacturers of packaged goods that use the pallets to replace their one-way disposable wooden pallets. And what is significant for us is that we are able to manufacture in Indonesia, put them in a container, ship them to China, and compete in the Chinese market. So this is very, very important because it exactly proves what we've been saying all along, that our product is very competitive and we can go in and compete directly in the markets around Asia Pacific. And especially the fact that we are able to compete in China is a real gratifying thing that's going on. The other thing that's important with China, and we are able now to start talking about it, is the e-commerce industry. So you will have heard about how e-commerce is impacting the traditional bricks and mortar retail supply chains, and it has certainly an impact in the pallet industry, because what the advent of e-commerce does, and especially in China has now become the world's biggest e-commerce market, it is shortening the supply chains. And so we have found a slot in that supply chain, because what happens in China is that after the orders are picked in the main distribution centers, they then get put into cartons and boxes, etc. They go on a secondary pallet because there are lots of sub-distribution centers in the suburbs, etc. That's where the motorcycles are waiting. That leg, that is where they are using our pallets, because it is too expensive, because they don't have very good control of that secondary distribution, so they lose a lot of the pallets. And when you go in with pallets that you don't own, that is somebody else's pallet, it's very expensive when you lose those pallets. So ours fit in exactly there. So that's very interesting. We are talking to all of the major e-commerce operators in China. So this is in a trial stage right now, but the feedback is very good. So we think we will have some more very encouraging and exciting news coming up on that one. Let me move on to raw material. Obviously, we are ramping up very quickly, and that also means increased demand for raw material. All of our raw material is domestic. It is all Indonesian raw material. All of our suppliers are stepping up in a big way and have made commitments and obligations on the raw material suppliers. We go into the next months. We are fully covered all the way into well into Q3. And rising, we are bringing on more suppliers as well. And one of the things that is very important in the new factory is, as you remember, we listed in July. 6 months later, we started production in our new factory with the first production line and the second line already operating. The third one is being installed right now. The thing that we have changed in that setup is, as opposed to before in our earlier plant, now all of the raw material is being centrally processed. And this also means we are installing a wash plant. So what we do in future is we can now buy dirty plastic. And so getting in dirty plastic means that aside from dealing with recycling operations, we are also able to deal directly with the waste management companies. So they take out the plastic before it goes to landfill, comes into us, is being washed and being prepared and going through the process. This will dramatically lower our cost of raw material. And this will really become the model for how we believe that we are going to start being able to expand to other countries as well. Because again, the fundamentals are exactly the same, right? There's an abundant availability of mixed waste plastic, and now the fact that we will have the opportunity to wash it as well just sets us on the road of delivering on all of the ambitions that we have. So, if I just move to the final slide here. Everything is going very well in the factory. Some of your guys were up to see us in the factory. A lot of activity in the factory right now. We are producing, yet we are also at the same time installing the centralized system. So there is infrastructure work going on over there. That should all be in place during the months of May. So we have planned for an investor site visit in the beginning of June. I think it's 7th or 8th of June, where we will be taking investors up to see the factory. As I mentioned, we're doing very well. So we are actually tracking a little bit ahead of schedule. And so we decided earlier on that we would move the 2 production lines from the factory in Bali to the new factory. It's a much more efficient setup. And the benefits that we have from operating in one location is very good. So we are on track, and within 2017, we will have 10 production lines on site, exactly as per our plans. We have room for another 4 production lines to go into this facility as well.